A Good Samaritan takes out a mass shooter. Nancy Pelosi's husband is suspected of insider trading, and how the media screwed up coverage of the 10-year-old's abortion story. That and more on this week's headlines. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Matt Ganesta. Another week, another mass shooting to cover. A man opened fire in a mall food court in Greenwood, Indiana, killing 3 and wounding 2. The shooter attempted to destroy his phone and laptop, so his motive is unknown at this time. Which means people on the internet are already sure they know why he did it. Everything ranging from, he's a white supremacist, to, he's mentally ill, to, he must have been training for Black Friday. What's different about this mass shooting story, though, is that the shooter was killed by an armed civilian, 22-year-old Elijah Dicken, 15 seconds after the shooting began. Dicken is being called a Good Samaritan for his actions. You know, I miss the day when being a Good Samaritan just meant helping an old lady across the street or returning someone's lost wallet. Now you've got to be packing and ready to enter Valhalla. The Indiana police chief responded by saying,
"Many more people would have died last night if not for a responsible armed citizen."
And the NRA said, "We finally got one." We meant this happens all the time. Told you. What they won't talk about is how sometimes when a good guy with a gun stops a bad guy with a gun, they're killed by the police who thought they were the bad guy, like what happened last year in Colorado. Speaking of police screwing up, let's talk about the response to the school shooting in Uvalde. A Texas House report blamed not only the Uvalde police, but every agency that responded to the elementary school shooting that left 19 students dead. According to the report, nearly 400 responders from numerous law enforcement agencies, many of whom were better trained and better equipped than the school district police, quickly arrived on the scene. Those other responders, who also had training on active shooter response and the interrelation of law enforcement agencies, could have helped to address the unfolding chaos. Yet, in this crisis, no responder seized the initiative. Man, the story is like a Russian nesting doll of screw-ups. Every time you think it can't get any worse, there's another layer of stupid. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next story that comes out, we learn that the police didn't engage the shooter because someone accidentally loaded their guns with Skittles instead of bullets. Dang it, Mike, not again. In response to the Uvalde massacre, the Dallas and other school districts in Texas have a plan to stop future school shootings, requiring students to wear see-through backpacks. Again, this move is in response to the school shooting in Uvalde, where the school shooter was not a student. So how is making students wear transparent book bags going to protect them? According to the Dallas School District, we acknowledge that clear or mesh backpacks alone will not eliminate safety concerns. This is merely one of several steps in the district's comprehensive plan to better ensure student and staff safety. So their plan is to force kids to wear stupid see-through backpacks, and they openly admit that won't make anyone safer. Now, you might think this is just another case of the government trying to make citizens trade away their privacy for the illusion of safety. But actually, it's brilliant. See, the next time a mentally deranged shooter breaks into a school, he'll see these poor kids' privacy being completely violated and think, man, they've suffered enough. I'll go to a mall instead. More after the break. Welcome back. President Biden tested positive for COVID this week. White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said the president is experiencing very mild symptoms and will be able to do all of his presidential duties while isolating. While many hope President Biden recovers soon, others hope he never gets his sense of smell back. A Gallup poll revealed that Americans' confidence in the media has dropped to the lowest level ever recorded. In the early 1970s, Gallup polls showed that around 70% of Americans had confidence in newspapers. But in this most recent 2022 survey, that number is now just 16%. Wow, I cannot believe that it's still so high. It makes sense that people still have confidence in newspapers, though, I guess. After all, they're still quite useful for cleaning windows, starting campfires, and using in various emergencies. That's as reliable as they get. This same Gallup poll also surveyed confidence in 16 different American institutions, such as Congress, the President, and the Supreme Court. Confidence has fallen in most of these institutions as well. Considering how things are going right now, the fact that there are still at least some people who have confidence in how the system is doing makes me lose even more confidence in America's education and mental health. Speaking of people Americans have little faith in, Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci has announced he would likely retire by the end of President Biden's first term. He said, "It is extremely unlikely, in fact for sure, that I am not going to be here beyond January 2025. Wait, it's unlikely or it's for sure? He can't even give a straight answer to his retirement announcement. I think what's going to happen is Americans are ultimately going to have to wait 2 years, Fauci will still be around, and then he'll tell us we'll just have to learn to live with him." Speaking of people who should probably retire, Nancy Pelosi. The Senate voted to give the U.S. semiconductor industry $54 billion in subsidies, plus an estimated $24 billion in tax credits. This is part of an effort to compete with China. It would be nice if America was known for producing chips, other than the ones that lead to obesity and heart disease. Now you might be wondering, what does the story have to do with Nancy Pelosi? Well, last month, her husband, Paul Pelosi, bought between $1 and $5 million worth of stock in the computer chip company NVIDIA. And Nancy Pelosi supports this bill to give subsidies to the computer chip industry. The House could vote on it as early as next week. Gee, I wonder why she supports it. According to a member of the left-wing think tank Public Citizen, it certainly raises the specter that Paul Pelosi could have access to some insider legislative information. This is the reason why there is a stock trading app that exclusively monitors Paul's trading activity, and then its followers do likewise. And yes, that is a real thing. People monitor which stocks the Speaker of the House's husband buys and sells because, for some reason, they're always winning bets. Which I think definitely proves that Paul Pelosi is psychic. Because the alternative would be that he and his wife are insider trading, which they're definitely not doing. Because Nancy Pelosi denied it. Her spokesman said, "The Speaker does not own any stocks. The Speaker has no prior knowledge or subsequent involvement in any transactions." So her excuse is that she herself doesn't own any stocks. It's just her husband. And she had no involvement in it whatsoever. Sure, that sounds plausible. It's like saying, yeah, I gave my husband my credit card, car, driving instructions to the grocery store and a shopping list detailing exactly what to get and when, but I had nothing to do with this box of Lucky Charms that appeared in our pantry. What can I say? He's just a great shopper. The House overwhelmingly passed the Respect for Marriage Act. It would protect gay and interracial marriage by codifying it into federal law. 47 Republicans joined Democrats in voting for it. It comes in response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, which was a Supreme Court decision that had effectively legalized abortion for 50 years, until last month. Gay marriage is similar in that Congress never legalized it. It's permitted because of a 2015 Supreme Court decision. But now, all these kinds of rulings are under threat of being overturned by the new conservative Supreme Court majority. So Congress is taking action to actually codify things into law, the way our elected representatives were supposed to have done it years ago. The lesson here is the best way to get Congress to take action is imminent threats from conservatives. And after the break, the 10-year-old who crossed state lines to get an abortion, and how that story got royally screwed up. Welcome back. You may have heard about the story of a 10-year-old who became pregnant after being raped and had to travel from Ohio to Indiana to get an abortion. Several media outlets covered it, and even President Biden referenced it when criticizing the Supreme Court for overruling Roe v. Wade last month. While the story first broke a few weeks ago, we waited to cover it because there were a lot of conflicting reports. We didn't want to jump the gun or push a false narrative. Also, writing jokes about a story involving a 10-year-old that was raped and got an abortion, it was going to take some time. Honestly, I'd rather write jokes about how my puppy died in a fire while trying to save my grandma who's dying of cancer. That story sounds like a way more upbeat story than this. Well, let's get to it. The story first broke in the Indy Star that a 10-year-old girl couldn't get an abortion in Ohio because she was 6 weeks and 3 days pregnant. just passed Ohio's cutoff of 6 weeks implemented by a trigger law that went into effect once Roe v. Wade was overturned, and it has no exceptions for rape. So the girl had to travel to Indiana, where abortions are still permitted. Several Democrats pushed the story to show the dangers of Roe v. Wade being overturned, and Biden cited it while signing a mostly performative executive order on abortion. However, several right-leaning news outlets began pointing out that this story wasn't verified by fact-checkers and came from a single source. Many began to question if it happened at all. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost cast doubt, saying, "We have regular contact with prosecutors and local police and sheriffs. Not a whisper anywhere. Something maybe even more telling, my office runs the state crime lab. Any case like this, you're going to have a rape kit. You're going to have biological evidence. There is no case request for analysis that looks anything like this." Did he actually not believe this, or did he not want to believe this? Kind of like when I heard that Taco Bell sold out of Mexican pizzas. That can't be true. I'm going to go to the drive-thru right now and see if they're still there. Republican House Representative from Ohio, Jim Jordan, tweeted about this, accusing Democrats of lying to further their pro-abortion agenda. In fact, Democrats are so pro-abortion that 17 Democrat representatives were arrested while protesting the overturning of Roe v. Wade outside the Supreme Court on Tuesday. However, the story was later confirmed when an arrest was made of a 27-year-old who confessed to sexually assaulting the 10-year-old girl. The girl's mother reported this abuse 2 days before Roe v. Wade was overturned. So I guess Attorney General Dave Yost just missed it somehow. As much as no one wanted to believe it, it happened. Just like Taco Bell selling out of Mexican pizzas. What kind of caring God would allow something like this? After the arrest was made, Congressman Jim Jordan deleted his tweet doubting the story. Jordan was confronted about this.
Why'd you delete the tweet?
Well, because we learned that this illegal alien did this heinous crime. So we deleted the tweet.
Wait, is it just me, or did the way he said illegal alien sound like the verbal equivalent of jangling your keys to distract someone? Hey, look over here, an illegal alien. Don't pay attention to how I screwed up. Turns out the girl's rapist was an illegal immigrant. So right-leaning media pivoted on the story. Now, instead of saying Democrats made it up, they're saying it's real and Democrats are to blame for it happening. So right-leaning media has a new talking point in villain and hopes everyone forgets how they covered the story inaccurately before. That should be the end of this, right? Nope. Indiana Attorney General Todd Rokita, a Republican, said his office would be looking into potentially criminal charges against the doctor who provided the abortion for the 10-year-old. He claims that the doctor, Caitlin Bernard, may have failed to report the abortion to the state and that she may have violated the girl's HIPAA privacy rights. But documents show that the doctor did report the abortion on July 2nd and there was no HIPAA violation. According to her employer, as part of IU's health commitment to patient privacy and compliance with privacy laws, IU Health routinely initiates reviews, including the matters in the news concerning Dr. Caitlin Bernard. Dr. Caitlin Bernard is now suing Todd Rokita for defamation. Bernard did, however, list the rapist as a 17-year-old instead of a 27-year-old while reporting. Ha! We got you now. How could anyone make such a blunder while documenting something about someone who's undocumented? Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost tried saving some face and said the girl didn't have to flee Ohio because Ohio's heartbeat law has a medical emergency exception. This young girl, if she exists, and if this horrible thing actually happened to her, it breaks my heart to think about it, she did not have to leave Ohio to find treatment. Man, he's still doubting if she exists. I can't imagine what it must feel like to have someone not believe in you. Just kidding. I know exactly how it feels. Coach Lee. Doctors in Ohio disputed Yost's claim, saying that the girl would have not been able to get an abortion under Ohio's law. So, to boil down this whole complicated mess, a child experienced unimaginable trauma, and instead of being left alone to heal, she instead wound up becoming a pawn in a partisan fight between politicians and the media. No wonder Americans are losing faith in institutions. And I get to report on it. So, what do you think? Leave your comments below. And be sure to support America Uncovered by going to patreon.com/AmericaUncovered. Contribute $1 or more per episode. We rely on your support to help us keep making great episodes. Or join our exclusive, censorship-free social media community on Locals. Check out americauncovered.locals.com. Once again, I'm Matt Gnezda. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.